All right, we're going to rip the band-aid off right from the beginning. Most athletes think if they train hard enough, they can outrun anything or outlift everything. Fatigue, burnout, bad sleep, even that trash diet. But here's the truth. If your metabolic health is broken, you're building your performance house on a cracked foundation. You may stay upright for a while, you might even hit some PRs, but eventually it collapses. And you're left wondering why your willpower isn't enough to drag you through anymore. Let's stop pretending effort alone is the answer. It's not. So what the hell is metabolic health? Simple. Well, not really. It's actually very complex. It's the optimal coordination of your body's internal systems to regulate energy, how you take it in, store it, and burn it. We're not talking about your metabolism like it's some number from a smartwatch or a tabloid article screaming boost your burn. This is your body's operational command center. If these systems don't work together, you don't perform, and you will survive barely. You crawl through workouts, you crave garbage, your sleep sucks, you snap at people, you feel weak and foggy even when you're training hard. Poor metabolic health isn't just some about getting fat or tired. It's at the root of some big killers. Insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, PCOS, Alzheimer's, yeah, even depression. And that's not woo-woo speculation, that's hard data from hundreds of studies. You want mental resilience, physical grit, the ability to out-train, out-recover, and outlast? Then you better understand the 5 foundational systems involved in metabolic health. Because even if one of them is out of sync, you're in a slow grind to burnout. Starting with the big one, the first one, your endocrine system. This is your hormonal network: insulin, cortisol, testosterone, estrogen, leptin, ghrelin. Think of hormones as internal messengers. When they work together, you've got power, drive, hunger control, recovery. When they don't, you feel fried, fat, and foggy. You start making excuses instead of making progress. Then you've got your nervous system, your brain chemicals, your dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine. Drive, motivation, focus, the reward feedback loop. If your nervous system is shot, no amount of pre-workout or motivational quotes will save you. You're not lazy, you're just biochemically tapped out. Then you got your immune system. Here's one people most miss. Chronic low-grade inflammation from poor sleep, stress, processed food, or overtraining will silently wreck your body's ability to adapt. You get slower, stiffer, more fatigued, and think it's just aging or bad luck. It's not. It's probably just inflammation. And we'll go through all of these in more detail in a moment, but the fourth one we're going to go through is musculoskeletal system. Muscle isn't just for flexing. It's a metabolic powerhouse. It's where glucose is stored, where mitochondria churn out energy, where insulin sensitivity gets forged. You want to age like an athlete, not a statistic? Then stop skipping strength training. Your muscles are your longevity organ. And of course, your fifth and final one of the most overlooked ones, your digestive system. The gut-brain axis isn't just science speak. It's mission control for how you digest fuel, manage stress, regulate mood, and absorb nutrients. Gut health impacts inflammation, hormonal balance, and even your mental focus. If your gut is wrecked, you're playing a losing game with half your systems offline. Now, let's be real. Most people ignore this stuff until their body starts screaming, or they just focus on one part in particular. But you're here because you want to lead from the front. You want to train smart, recover better, and perform at your edge without crashing and burning. So here's your wake-up call. Metabolic health is not optional. It's a base layer of consistency, adaptation, toughness. If you want to stack up wins over months and years, not just survive one more workout, you need to treat your internal systems like they matter as much as your squat PR. Now we're going to dig deeper into how these systems interact, how they train, eat, live in a way that actually supports them. Because this isn't about hacking your metabolism, it's about earning your engine. So stay locked in, we're just getting started. We're going to start with the heavyweight champion of metabolic control, insulin. Insulin is not a villain. It's not out to make you fat or tired. It's a hormone produced by the beta cells in your pancreas. That's just trying to do its job. It's going to shuttle glucose out of your blood and into your cells, where it can be used for energy or stored for later. It also signals your body to store fat and stop breaking it down. That's a feature, not a flaw. It actually kept our ancestors alive through famine. But today, though, with food always in reach, down for Uber Eats and DoorDash, and movement optional as we sit and watch Netflix all day, that feature becomes a reliability. That feature becomes a liability. Here's the problem. When insulin is chronically elevated because you're constantly eating, not moving, not sleeping, and living stressed, it's going to lose its edge. Your cells stop responding to it. That's insulin resistance. Now, your pancreas cranks out even more insulin to get the same effect. You end up with hyperinsulinemia. high insulin, high blood sugar, and a fast track to metabolic syndrome, belly fat, inflammation, and eventually type 2 diabetes. Insulin also suppresses glucagon, the hormone that raises blood sugar when it drops too low. If insulin's always on, glucagon's always off. Your body forgets how to access fat stores for fuel. Worse, insulin messes with your hunger hormones, leptin and ghrelin. When it's high, leptin signaling gets dulled so you don't feel full, and ghrelin goes haywire so you don't feel hungry even when you're not. Bottom line, insulin isn't evil, but if you do not respect it, it will wreck you. Train your body to respond to insulin again, movement, muscle, meal timing. This is going to be your edge. Now, if insulin is the brakes, glucagon is the gas pedal. Produced by your alpha cells of your pancreas, glucagon kicks in when you're not eating, when blood sugar drops during fasting, low carb states, or long training sessions. It tells your liver, hey, we need fuel now. And the liver responds by breaking down glycogen, your stored sugar, through glycogenolysis, or by creating new glucose from scratch through gluconeogenesis. Glucagon is insulin's antagonist, its opposite. When insulin's high, glucagon is low. When insulin drops, it's like during a fast or hard run or a low carb diet, glucagon steps up to keep your energy stable. That balance matters more than you think. And here's where it gets really interesting for athletes. Elevated glucagon during exercise not only fuels your muscles, it also triggers fat breakdown for longer duration energy. That metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to shift fuel sources based on demand, you want that. That's how you go longer, harder, faster without bonking. But most people train their body to never use glucagon. Constant snacking, late night eating, no fasting, zero aerobic work. The result, your body forgets how to burn stored fat. You become carb dependent, crash prone, and metabolically stiff. Glucagon is how your body survives in a fasted state. It's not just a survival hormone, it's a performance hormone when used right. So if you want to train your metabolism like a machine, give glucagon its time to shine. Fast occasionally. Train low. Push your aerobic base. Let your body remember it's built to adapt, not just consume. Now let's talk about leptin, the hormone that's supposed to keep you from raiding the fridge at midnight like a gremlin. Leptin is produced by your fat cells. Yeah, the very same tissue most people are trying to lose. But fat isn't just for storage. It's actually an endocrine system. It's talking to your brain 24/7. And what leptin says, we're good. We've got energy. You can stop eating now. The signal travels to your hypothalamus, the part of your brain that controls hunger and energy regulation. When leptin's working right, you feel full, satisfied, and your metabolism hums along beautifully. But there's always a problem. In most people today, the message isn't getting through. Why? Leptin resistance, a metabolic blindfold. You've got fat, you're making leptin, but your brain doesn't see it. So it thinks you're starving. Hunger ramps up, energy gets hoarded, you move less, you eat more, rinse, repeat. And it doesn't stop there. Leptin suppresses ghrelin, your hunger hormone. So when leptin signaling breaks down, ghrelin goes wild, craving, binging, mood swings. That's not lack of willpower, that's hormonal chaos. Leptin also crosstalks with insulin and thyroid hormones, helping regulate both appetite and energy. Inflammation from poor diet, overtraining, or just bad sleep, that will wreck leptin sensitivity too. So if you want to restore leptin function, it's not about starving yourself, it's about lowering inflammation, training consistently, sleeping like it's your job, and building muscle. Leptin isn't broken. Your system is just overloaded. Clean it up, and the signal will get through. Meet ghrelin, the hunger hormone with a megaphone and no off switch when your system's out of balance. Produced mainly in the stomach, ghrelin rises before meals to tell your brain, yo, we need fuel. It's not subtle either. It makes food smell better, look better, hit harder. This isn't just about keeping you alive, it's a reward. Ghrelin ramps up dopamine signaling, making that bite of pizza feel like a victory. That's great when you're starving in the woods, not so great when you're bored in front of the pantry. Ghrelin and leptin are supposed to work in rhythm. Ghrelin drives hunger, leptin says stop. But in a dysregulated system, that rhythm turns into noise. Poor sleep, ghrelin spikes. Chronic stress, ghrelin spikes. Excessive dieting and calorie restriction without proper structure, ghrelin spikes and stays high, setting you up for rebound eating and low motivation. Here's the kicker. There's a lot of these always. The more frequently you feed those ghrelin signals with fast, dopamine-heavy food, the more your body expects the reward. That's how habit-based overeating forms. Not because you're weak, because you've unknowingly trained a feedback loop. Now, you cannot kill ghrelin. You wouldn't want to. It's essential for survival, performance, even muscle growth, but you can train it with consistent meal timing, smart fasting, managing stress, and most critically, sleep. A single night of sleep deprivation, ghrelin shoots up, hunger rises, willpower drops. Control ghrelin, and you control the signal before the craving hits. Don't fight it, train it. And of course, we cannot be amiss without talking about cortisol, the hormone that turns stress into fuel until it turns you into a wreck. Cortisol is made by the adrenal cortex. It's your body's built-in survival gear. When you're under pressure, real or perceived, cortisol rises. It kicks up gluconeogenesis, breaking down protein, even muscle, to create glucose. So you've got energy to fight, flee, or lift something heavy off a loved one. That's good in small doses. As with everything, there's a modern day problem. You're not being chased by lions anymore. You're just checking emails, skipping meals, and probably sleeping like trash. Chronic stress equals chronic cortisol. And when that switch stays flipped, the body starts eating itself from the inside. High cortisol over time causes insulin resistance, making you store more visceral fat. That's the dangerous kind around your organs. And then suppresses leptin. So you're both hungrier and less able to burn fuel when you've already got. It also blunts thyroid hormone function, which tanks your metabolism further. It's a double whammy. Worse, cortisol enhances dopamine-driven reward seeking. Translation, when stress is high, you don't want comfort food. You chase it like it owes you money. Ever find yourself eating ice cream and scrolling on stressed days? Yeah, cortisol's driving. Cortisol isn't the villain though. It's a tool. But just like a hammer, if you swing it all day, something's going to smash that shouldn't be. You want to fix it? Control your stress inputs. Lift weights. Sleep like a monk. Breathe deeply. Say no more often. Cortisol will listen to your behavior, not your willpower. Now we're going to get into the thyroid hormones, your 3 and T4. You're the metabolic conductors quietly setting the tempo for every cell in your body. Produced by the thyroid gland and kicked in gear by TSH, your thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary. These hormones are your basal metabolic rates boss. They regulate how fast your cells burn fuel, how much heat your body throws off, and how much mitochondrial energy you've got to play with. When things go wrong, they go very wrong. Too little T3 or T4, that's hypothyroidism. You feel cold. You gain fat despite eating clean. Energy tanks. Training feels like a grind. Your metabolism is moving through molasses. And worst of all, it creeps silently. People often blame themselves, thinking it's laziness or willpower. It's not. It's hormonal friction. Too much, that's hyperthyroidism. At first, it might feel like a cheat code. More energy, more calorie burn. But it burns fast and dirty. Muscle loss, fatigue, system-wide stress follow. You're running hot, but the engine's overheating. Now, the kicker with all of them. Your thyroid does not operate in a vacuum. None of these do. Leptin, insulin, and cortisol all impact how thyroid hormones are produced and converted, especially T3, the active form. If you are chronically stressed, undereating, or inflamed, your body will lower T3 to conserve energy. That's not failure, it's survival mode. So if your metabolism really feels stuck, don't just slash calories or train harder, step back. Eat enough, recover deeply, stabilize stress, build strength. When thyroid's in harmony, everything else runs smoother. Now here is a fun one, an unsung hero in your fat cells I never see talked about. Adiponectin. It doesn't get the spotlight like insulin or cortisol, but it damn well should. Because if metabolic health is a war, adiponectin is the quiet operator keeping the engine from overheating. Produced by your adipose tissue, adiponectin is a hormone that actually works for you. It increases insulin sensitivity, ramps up fat oxidation, and tones down inflammation. In simple terms, it helps your body burn fat more efficiently and keeps your cells from getting insulin blind. That sounds great, right? But there's a catch. The more body fat you accumulate, especially your visceral fat, the less adiponectin you produce. That's right, the tissue that secretes it can also suppress it when overloaded. That's like the firefighter who starts hiding the hose once the flames get too high. Low adiponectin is a metabolic red flag. It signals that your system is slipping towards insulin resistance, low-grade inflammation, and dysfunctional energy use. You'll notice it as a stubborn fat gain, fatigue after eating, and creeping sense that no amount of clean eating is working. So what then flips the switch? Training does, especially aerobic work and resistance training that activate AMP-K, the key energy sensor pathway, and drive mitochondrial biogenesis. Adiponectin plays nice with both. This is the hormone that rewards consistency, not fads, not starvation, not punishment, but daily effort. Sweating, walking, sleeping well, managing stress, and eating like you respect your future self. You raise your adiponectin and you raise the floor of your entire metabolic system. It's not flashy, it's just essential. So now you've met the hormonal power players, insulin, leptin, cortisol, and the rest of the crew calling shots from your bloodstream. But here's the plot twist. None of them act alone. The brain isn't just passively listening, it's orchestrating, adapting, and sometimes sabotaging the entire system along the way. Because welcome to the neurochemical battlefield, where mood, motivation, and metabolism collide. Because the way you think, feel, and even crave those late night sticks, that's not just willpower, it's dopamine, serotonin, the vagus nerve, and a tangled web of feedback loops we're just beginning to understand. We are diving into the neural command center. Front and center is dopamine, the neurochemical of drive, desire, reward. Think of it as your brain's gas pedal. It doesn't just make you want something, it makes you chase it. Produced in places like the ventral tegmental area in the hypothalamus, dopamine's job is to motivate action, especially around food and movement. It's what gets you off the couch when you're hungry, what fuels your obsession with cookies at midnight, and what makes PRs feel so damn satisfying. But there's a metabolic landmine. In a world of hyper-palatable foods, salt, sugar, fat, donuts, engineered to hijack your brain, dopamine gets hijacked too. You're not just eating for fuel anymore, you're chasing a hit. And the more you overstimulate the system, the more it will downregulate. That means the same junk food triggers less reward, so you eat more to feel less. Over time, this compulsive loop wrecks your energy balance and sabotages your goals, not because you're weak, but because your neurochemistry has been rewired. And it doesn't stop there. Ghrelin cranks dopamine up, especially when you're sleep deprived or calorie restricted. Stress and poor sleep, on the other hand, blunt dopamine's effectiveness, leaving you with low motivation, high cravings. Dopamine also regulates energy expenditure behaviors like walking, training, goal setting. When it's balanced, you chase greatness. When it's broken, you chase comfort. So the takeaway? Train, sleep, eat real food, protect your dopamine, and you protect your drive. If dopamine is the gas pedal, serotonin is the stabilizer. The neurochemical that keeps you even-keeled, less reactive, and more content. It's not about chasing the high, it's about being okay with the moment. That sense of peace, of, I'm good, I don't need more. That's serotonin doing its job. Here's the twist that most people don't really quite understand. 90% of serotonin is made in your gut, not your brain. That means you eat, how you digest, and the health of your gut lining all affect your mood, your cravings, and your ability to feel food. Low serotonin levels? Welcome to the stress, eat, repeat cycle. We're talking carb cravings, emotional eating, depressive symptoms, and a constant mental grind. When serotonin tanks, often due to chronic stress, poor sleep, gut issues, apparently a repeat pattern we keep seeing in this talk, your brain starts begging for quick serotonin fixes. Sugar, starch, Netflix. And science backs it up. Leptin and insulin can help enhance serotonin signaling in the brain, creating a feedback loop between energy stasis and mood. But if those hormones are out of whack, say from insulin resistance or leptin resistance, the loop gets noisy. Also worth noting, serotonin's precursor, tryptophan, has to cross the blood-brain barrier. But its competition, which is your branch-chained amino acids from protein, fight for the same transporters. That's why carb-heavy meals post-workout can actually help tryptophan win in levels. So no, it's not just about being positive, it's about protecting your gut, managing your stress, and training with purpose, because your serotonin system runs on more than just vibe. Now, I can talk about many other chemicals in your system, your hormones, testosterone, estrogen, norepinephrine, epinephrine. There are so many to go over that all interact with things. This is a complex system that can get out of whack in an instant if you're not careful enough, especially if you are a high-training athlete. You don't get to out-hustle your hormones. You don't get to biohack your brain. You don't get to outgrind your neurochemistry. You can try, but eventually the system will collapse. Fatigue, cravings, burnout, brain fog. That's not weakness, that's just biology waving a white flag. Do you want to master your metabolism? Do you want to master your metabolism? Then you've got to master the terrain that shapes it. And it's not magic, it's sleep, movement, food, stress, muscle, gut health, 6 forces, all modifiable, all powerful. Here's how each one can either sharpen the blade or rust it into oblivion. Let's not sugarcoat it. Bad sleep wrecks everything. One night of short sleep and cortisol will go up. Ghrelin climbs, leptin crashes, dopamine signaling tanks, and insulin sensitivity takes a nosedive. That's not a metaphor, that's measured science. Your brain literally gets hungrier, dumber, and less disciplined. When you're sleep deprived, you don't crave kale and grilled chicken, you crave ultra-processed dopamine spiking junk because your brain is trying to self-medicate with calories. Add in the elevated cortisol, and now your body wants to store those calories as visceral fat. Fix your sleep, and you change the entire hormonal battlefield. Better recovery, better glucose control, better willpower. It's free, it's powerful, but it's also the first thing most athletes sacrifice, and the first thing they should be protecting. Training is your metabolic cheat code. When done right, every time you move with purpose, your muscles become more insulin sensitive. Your dopamine system resets, your serotonin levels rise. Every time you move with purpose, your muscles become more insulin sensitive. Your dopamine system resets, your serotonin levels rise, and if you're lifting or doing sprints, catecholamines spike, mitochondria multiply, and your metabolic rate gets a shot of jet fuel. And strength training aren't just calorie burners, they're hormone sculptors. They teach your cells how to process glucose more efficiently. They shift toward fat oxidation, and they leave a lasting legacy at mitochondrial level. Those little power plants inside your cells get denser, more efficient, more resilient. But everything needs a kicker. Too much training, too little recovery, you flip the system. Cortisol stays elevated, dopamine gets depleted, and now you're stuck in a cycle of inflammation, anxiety, and breakdown. Train hard, but recover harder, or your workouts will. Food isn't just fuel, it's information. Every bite you take tells your hormones what to do. High refined carbs, yeah, they'll spike your insulin and dopamine. You'll feel great for 30 minutes. Then comes the crash. Fatigue, hunger, mood swings. That's the dopamine drop. Paired with insulin's lockstep command to shuttle glucose into storage and the stored excess as fat. Protein, on the other hand, fuels the precursors your brain needs to make dopamine, your tyrosine, and then serotonin from tryptophan. Pair that with fiber, now you're feeding the gut, boosting GLP-1 and PYY. Two gut hormones that talk to the brain's satiety center and tell you, you're good, put the fork down. The problem isn't food, it's the wrong food at the wrong dose at the wrong time. Eat to stabilize hormones, not chase flavor highs. Or you'll keep losing that biochemical roulette. Stress is not always bad. In the short term, it's adaptation. It sharpens focus, it mobilizes fuel, it prepares you to perform. But chronic stress, it's a slow bleed on your system. Cortisol stays high, dopamine and serotonin drop. Your cravings go up, your sleep quality tanks, and your belly fat increases, especially the dangerous kind that wraps around your organs and screws your insulin. Stress makes you reactive instead of strategic. You start training like a maniac, sleeping like crap, eating like a raccoon, and calling it grind mode. Newsflash, you're not grinding, you're melting. Learn to deload your nervous system. Breath work, nature, journaling, therapy, silence, even light cardio. Anything that brings your stress axis back to neutral is a performance enhancer. Muscle isn't just about strength, it's also about survival. It's the largest glucose sink in your body. More muscle equals more room to shuttle glucose out of the bloodstream and into productive work. It's a hormonal factory. When you lift heavy and tear those fibers down, they don't just grow back stronger, they release myokines like irisin, which improve insulin sensitivity and burn fat at the cellular level. And I can go into a whole bunch of episodes just on the hormonal factory that muscle is itself. Muscles also tell your body, this person's active, keep the engine burning. That means higher BMR, better energy turnover, and fewer swings in blood sugar and mood. That's why lean mass isn't cosmetic, it's therapeutic. It's literally preventing disease. It's your metabolic insurance policy. If you think you're in charge, try again. Your gut microbes, trillions of them, are calling a lot of these shots. These bugs influence everything from serotonin production, because over 90% is made in the gut, to your short-chain fatty acids that regulate inflammation, insulin sensitivity, and hunger. If you disrupt your gut through antibiotics, ultra-processed food, lack of fiber, or even those bloody pills in the gut health aisles, don't get me started on those, you get more bloating, depression, cravings, immune dysfunction, and metabolic chaos. Feed the gut with real food, plants, fermented stuff, soluble fiber, kimchi, awesome stuff. Your microbes are chemical alchemists. Treat them like allies and they'll reward you with resilience. No one wakes up broken. You get broken slowly through years of friction between biology and lifestyle, through patterns. Metabolic destruction doesn't show up as a mystery. It shows up as a formula. This is the modern apocalypse in your blood. First, your cells stop listening to insulin, glucose builds up, insulin floods in harder, then leptin, the hormone that says stop eating, gets ignored. Now you're full but still hungry. Add chronic cortisol, you're stressed, storing fat, inflamed, and stuck in a feedback loop of fatigue, cravings, and body breakdown. You don't feel energized after a meal, you feel sedated. You crash by 2 p.m. You gain fat even in calorie deficit. This is not laziness. It's metabolic confusion caused by a constant barrage of processed food, poor sleep, and overdrive stress. Your brain's reward center gets hijacked. Ghrelin says eat, dopamine says this food fixes pain, so you chase sugar and fat like a drug, trying to plug emotional holes with temporary hits, but every hit dulls your receptors further. Over time, real food loses appeal. You don't eat to nourish, you eat to feel something. This is the core of a lot of binge eating behaviors. You're not weak, you're neurochemically wired to chase reward while your rational brain gets muted. No sleep, your hormones go off script. Cortisol stays elevated, insulin sensitivity tanks, ghrelin spikes, leptin tanks, your body thinks it's under threat, so it stores fat, burns muscle, and amplifies cravings. Stress and sleep deprivation don't just make you tired, they make you metabolically inefficient. You can eat clean, train, spin your wheels if your nervous system never exits high alert. Metabolic dysfunction isn't a character flaw, it's a systems failure. Systems can be rebuilt. Here's a point I want you to hit on really hard if you're still in this video at this point, which congratulations if you still are, awesome. Hit the thanks, thumbs up, subscribe if you're still watching this at this point. You do not fix chaos with hacks. I don't care how many Instagram influencers say otherwise, you cannot fix metabolic chaos with biohacks. You fix it by becoming brutally consistent with fundamentals. These aren't trends, these are laws of biology, and if you obey them, results will follow. First up, gold standard. Lifting weights improves insulin sensitivity, builds muscle, which is that metabolic powerhouse, and signals your brain that you're still in the fight. Each rep activates AMK and GLUT4 transporters. Those are your glucose vacuum cleaners inside your cells. Muscles don't just burn calories, it protects you against diabetes, sarcopenia, and cognitive decline. Lift 3 to 4 times a week, compound lifts, real intensity. Rest like it matters after each lift. Then you have the not sexy but crucial stuff, your cardio, your zone 2 work, the pace where you can talk but not sing. It will increase your mitochondrial density and teaches your body to oxidize fat instead of always reaching for glucose. Do you want metabolic flexibility? Want to last longer in workouts, hikes, or life? Zone 2 is going to be the grind that gets you there. Throw in sprints 1 to 2 times a week for hormonal and VO2 spikes. Mix it up, but earn your base. Protein builds neurotransmitters in muscle. Fiber feeds the gut, stabilizes blood sugar, and improves satiety. Forget the macros for a second. Focus on quality, timing. Hit that at least 1 gram protein per pound body weight. Use plants and fermented foods to build gut resilience. Keep ultra-processed junk to a minimum, not out of guilt, but because it hijacks your hormonal clarity. Every meal needs to be a chemical message, and you have to send the right one to your system. Focusing on dark rooms, cold temperatures, no screens late, consistent bedtime. These aren't suggestions, they're rules for anyone serious about recovery and hormone health. Sleep is when you repair, when you reboot dopamine, serotonin, testosterone, when your brain clears metabolic waste and your muscles absorb training. Cut it short and everything downstream suffers. 8 hours isn't lazy, it's strategic. Fight for it like it's a PR. Stress is not an evil word, but unmanaged stress is a hormonal nuke. It makes you reactive, inflamed, insulin resistant, and craving garbage. Solutions aren't complicated, but they must be done. Do breath work, your box breathing, Wim Hof method, doesn't matter, just do it. Journaling to unload mental clutter. Nature to downshift your nervous system. Boundaries so you stop bleeding time and energy into other people's chaos. Because you're not just an athlete, you're a nervous system steward. Treat it that way. For the right individual, not everybody. Fasting resensitizes insulin and leptin, clears the fog, gives the gut a break, but it's not magic and it's not for everyone. If you binge when you break the fast, it's not longer working. If it helps you reconnect to true hunger and reset habits, game on. Start small though, 12 to 14 hours at a time. Don't force 20-hour windows just to feel tough. Adaptation, not martyrdom. Your biology runs on light. Morning sun anchors cortisol rhythms. Evening darkness cues melatonin. Mess with that rhythm, blue light at night, no sun in the morning, and you get groggy wake ups, high evening cravings, poor recovery. Fix it by getting outside early, dimming lights late, and using light to guide your hormonal symphony back to baseline. Metabolic health is more than blood sugar and fat. It's a neuroendocrine orchestra. Every hormone, neurotransmitter, and behavior impacts the system. You're either going to be feeding the fire of adaptation or dousing it in stress and excess. Master your inputs, train your biology, build your mental grit,